Hey guys, what is going on? So I wanted to talk about the progress that I've had in my cut thus far, as well as this experiment that I'm running to improve my testosterone levels naturally. So testosterone increase has not really been something I've been too focused on at any given time. I do take Sigma, which is supposed to help with testosterone production. I've talked about my experience with that and how I do notice a difference when I'm on it. But outside of that, in terms of lifestyle factors, I've never really tried to focus on testosterone production in isolation. I have tried to be healthier and stuff like that, but never really had that much of a need to do it because I've always felt like I've had higher testosterone. I feel like I've been making good gains. I don't think that that's an issue for me. However, towards the end of this bulk, I was starting to feel like my testosterone levels had dipped. And not necessarily like I was having low testosterone, but just low for me. Because again, I do speculate that I do have higher testosterone levels. So I, started to look into cleaning up my diet a little bit. But I think one reason why my testosterone felt like it was lower and I was, lacking motivation and drive and my intensity in the gym and everything wasn't there. I think part of that reason was because I was transitioning my diet to be less micronutrient focused, and just eating more junk food to try and get my calories in. Because as I was increasing, my weight and my calories, it just became harder and harder to keep up with that. And eventually, once I started to resort to more junk food, that was like this vicious downward spiral where I just started to eat less high quality food, and that just got worse and worse over time. And we ended up in a situation where I was eating a lot of junk food, not a lot of micronutrients. My body fat percentage and just overall amount of fat that I was carrying on my body was like the highest it had ever been. And so all those things combined is kind of a recipe for disaster in terms of testosterone. So again, I don't think I was like low testosterone necessarily, just low for me. And so I started to look into, improving my diet, cleaning it up a little bit. And that's what I was doing towards the end of my bulk. I was actually improving my diet and trying to increase the micronutrients that I was, eating on a daily basis. And I do feel like that was helping me improve my testosterone back. Now, it wasn't where it was at its peak. It wasn't the best thing ever. I was still a high body fat percentage, everything like that. And I wasn't eating like super, super clean, but I was eating cleaner than I had been. And I do feel like I saw a pretty significant improvement just by going after, again, more nutritional food in terms of micronutrient density and stuff like that. So I started to do that. Then we get into the cut. And I felt like my energy levels were immediately higher. I didn't feel lethargic. I was eating all clean food as opposed to, well, pretty much all clean, right? Sometimes you eat some, BS or whatever. But for the most part, I was eating almost all clean food as I started my cut, which has been going on for the past, 10 days or so. And it doesn't seem like a lot of time, but I basically just saw like an instant increase as I started to eat those foods. And I feel like that was just further increasing my testosterone from something that I had already started, the prior month. And so what had been happening was my lifts were all going up, not in terms of like heavy bench press or anything like that, but all my accessory lifts. My focus in the gym was better. I was attacking my workouts. I was having better motivation. And then once I started to cut, this was even further reinforced because I had higher energy levels. My food was, again, more nutritionally dense with all the micronutrients, and I feel like my testosterone was, going back up again. And also, we have the relationship with body fat percentage and just overall body fat and the negative correlation that has with testosterone. So as I was cutting some fat, even though, again, I've only been cutting for like 10 or 11 days or something like that, over that process, I feel like losing a little bit of that fat, having the better quality food, and just continuously increasing my performance in the gym, all those things have been feeding off each other. And so this got me thinking like, wow, I am really starting to feel substantially better. My quality of life is better. My performance in the gym, even though I'm on a 1,000-calorie deficit, has gone up substantially. So I'm not sure if I said this yet, but I started my cut at about 275, and I'm about 264 right now. So I've lost about 11 pounds, which is a massive decrease. And I do think that is mostly water, but I do think there's been some fat in there. And so that entire process of bringing those calories down substantially, improving the quality of my food and everything like that, I think all of that has had that positive effect, as well as, again, my gym performance has continued to go up at a rate that I haven't seen in a long time. Like the progress that I'm making on my accessories has been amazing. And again, that has continued into the cut. And so this got me thinking about how I can improve my testosterone even further and how that can help aid my performance in the gym, improve my quality of life and stuff like that. And so I started to kind of go down this rabbit hole, and I started watching some Team 3D Alpha videos, which I've talked about him a lot in the past. I love his channel, but I was, watching some of his videos, and he talked about how you can measure your grip strength being a way to kind of measure what your, testosterone and androgens and everything like that is at any given time. So as opposed to doing like a blood test where it's like one snapshot in time and being expensive and everything like that, you can just measure your grip strength, and that gives you a very good indication of where your, tests and androgens and everything like that are at. So I bought one of those and I started testing it, and sure enough, my grip strength was pretty strong, and I don't train my grip or anything like that. And so I figured, this is probably my testosterone getting back to the higher levels that it was kind of always at. And then I started to track my grip strength. And then I have a friend as well who made a video about eating like more eggs, and Team 3D Alpha also made a video about testosterone production in eggs. And I had stopped eating eggs over the last few months, which is kind of funny. That's when when I felt like my testosterone was starting to go down. But before, I was eating eggs all the time. And so I was like, I stopped eating eggs because they got really expensive. And I was like, let me go back to eating eggs because I'm going to be able to save on my groceries because I'm eating less food. And so I started eating eggs again, and then I saw this experiment that my friend had where he talked about eating a lot of eggs, having raw garlic. And so I've been doing that over the past couple days. So literally, I'm on day 2 right now, and I've been measuring my grip strength, and I just set a PR with 187.6 pounds. So when I first got it, I was at like 162, I think, and I only got that like a couple times. Then I was down to like the 150s. And I've been kind of measuring it throughout the last few days. And again, today, it's like the highest it's ever been, a massive increase. And I think it's funny how that's when I started doing that like egg and garlic thing. And I was eating eggs prior to this. I've been eating eggs the whole cut. But I started doing that, and I just thought it was really funny how all of these things are just kind of aligning. And I feel like my testosterone is like going through the roof right now. And I feel like that's improving my performance in the gym, and the gym performance is feeding off of all these other things. And it's just really exciting because I went from being in a period where my testosterone was probably the lowest it had ever been in my life, which again is still probably not like low, quote unquote, but just for somebody like myself who's always felt like they've had pretty high testosterone, going into the, egg diet and garlic and eating more micronutrient dense foods and everything like that, and my performance in the gym going up and everything like that, it just has me really excited. So that's something that I think I really want to focus on in the future here, is because I think one reason why my gains were slowing down towards the tail end of my bulk was just because my testosterone was not there. My insulin sensitivity is probably not really there. And I used to mitigate this by, obviously I've continued to take my glucose disposal agent, but I stopped going on my 10-minute walks, which I rave about. I think they are massively important. And I stopped doing that because, I live in a really cold climate, but I feel like if I had that motivation and drive to, hey, I can pace around the house, or I can pace around wherever, I can get these steps in. And so I've been doing that recently. And just the insulin sensitivity improving, which I think is happening right now, the testosterone improving, all of these things, I think those can replace a lot of the benefits of having the higher calorie count, especially for somebody like myself, where again, I'm on a 1,000 calorie deficit right now, eating 3,500 calories. So that's a lot of food. So I think I'm big enough where bulking to that 20% body fat range and having my hormone levels come down, my insulin sensitivity go down, my motivation, drive in the gym, everything like that, I think for somebody like myself, and in this environment where I'm cutting, where I'm not really trying to necessarily gain muscle, it's kind of crazy how my performance in the gym and quality of life and everything is going up by improving that testosterone level. And it just kind of goes to show, do I think that this massive increase in testosterone and, insulin sensitivity, motivation, all of this stuff combined, is that really outweighed by an extra 1,000 calories when I'm already eating 3,500 calories? And again, if I were to go, let's say I cut down and I, got down to, my goal weight, my maintenance calories would probably still be above 4,000 calories. So it's like, I'm going to be able to be in that scenario where I'm lean. I'll be able to maintain or grow slightly above 4,000 calories. And then if I have the high testosterone and the high insulin sensitivity and all of that, to me, that seems like it's going to be the most anabolic environment possible. And I wouldn't have thought this, and I used to not think this, because I thought there was such a huge advantage of having that increase of calories. But living that over the past several months towards the tail end of my bulk, where yes, the calories were there, but all this other stuff was out of whack, I don't think that that was nearly as good as when I was earlier on in my bulk and I was just eating higher quality food, having high testosterone. You know, again, I'm measuring this now via the grip strength, but I could just feel it. You know, you can feel your quality of life, and I feel like you have a sense of where your testosterone is at. And I felt like mine was really good then, and then it got really bad. And no coincidence there, I think my gains fell off dramatically. And I think a lot of that is less about the anabolic effect of testosterone and more so just like, if I didn't have that desire to go hard in the gym, that's really what grows the muscle, right? Is actually going hard in the gym and providing that stimulus. And so if I didn't have the drive to do that, and I was just going through the motions, and I wasn't having the high testosterone, and the insulin sensitivity wasn't there, and all this stuff combined, I feel like, you know, for me, that's really kind of the missing part of the equation. So that's going to be something I focus on much more in the future, is to improve my diet, and to improve my testosterone and hormones and stuff like that. And then again, keep tracking them with this grip strength, which again, at 187.6, it only measures 200 pounds. So I feel like I'm on the higher end of testosterone right now. You know, again, still at a pretty high body fat percentage. So if I bring that down a little bit more, we'll see if that can keep improving. So very excited to see where this takes me. And I just wanted to share some of those experiments and the, you know, progress on my cut thus far, but going amazingly well right now. And I just am very enthusiastic about, you know, improving those things. And I feel like that's something that other people maybe didn't consider quite as much. And maybe, again, if you're not as heavy and you're not putting on as much fat as I am, that might not be a big issue for you. But if you feel like you have low testosterone for any other reason, these lifestyle factors, and again, I am taking Sigma right now too, so it's not just purely the diet and stuff like that, but something to keep in mind and something that has improved the quality of my life dramatically. So regardless of if I'm seeing an actual increase or decrease in my testosterone, I'm noticing the benefits in real life, and that's all that really matters, right? So hope that can help you guys. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. I will keep you updated, and I'll talk to you soon.